Hey everybody, we're back with the Chaotic Book Lovers Podcast Season 4. This is episode 2. And if you guys are new and you guys don't know what the Chaotic Book Lovers Podcast is, basically it's like each and every season there's a new podcast season. So like it's spring now, so this is the spring season, and then season 5 will be in the summer. And that's like really fun. So for the spring I decided that a lot of people wanted to get into writing, so we are talking a lot about publishing companies, writing mindsets, things to do with your book if you want to be successful, things like that. And so today we're going to be talking about publishing companies and the way they do things. Now, um, I just want to like address a few things as well in this video, but we're going to go ahead and get into it with the main thing that I like really want to talk about, which is hard covers. So the question that rose to the rose to the front of my mind when I was, thinking of episodes to do for this season. It was, why do publishing companies do the same thing? Like they all just do the same thing, and like most of their books, they do the same thing. I think there's only one author that I've seen that they have not, no, two authors that I've seen where they do not do this, and that is between Anna Huang. She makes all paperbacks and like hardcovers are an option, I feel, but I feel like the paperbacks also come out at the same time. And then it's also Allie Hazelwood. But when I look at different books by different authors, and a lot of them I see a repeat in a bunch of publishing companies, I see the same similarities. So I want to go ahead and take, for example, Bloom. Bloom, what is the publishing company? I think it's just called like Bloom Publishing. Bloom Publishing, I've got a few books from Bloom, from Lauren Asher, to Anna Huang, as mentioned. And something that I see that's like really consistent with Bloom's like publishing is that they always release the paperbacks and the hardbacks at the same time, which is kind of like it's like a really good thing. Because if you think about it, some people prefer hardbacks for certain books, and other people just don't want hardbacks. They want paperbacks. But when you see like a whole bunch of romance books with hardbacks, and then you see a bunch of fantasy books with hardbacks or thriller books with hardbacks, then you're probably just more like a paperback person. Or maybe this has been brought to my attention by Morgan Book. You guys should go check out her podcast. I forgot what it is, but it's Morgan Book. That's her name. You can just look her up and you'll most likely find her. Um Morgan Book, she has a podcast, and she was like, well, when it comes to hardcovers versus paperbacks, it depends on the book genre. She said for romance books, she prefers paperbacks because it feels weird to hold hardback and then, be reading about, the most lovey-dovey stuff. But when it comes to a fantasy book, it feels almost natural and feels like it was made for the fantasy book. Like, you read a fantasy book and you use the hardcover and it just feels natural. But if you were to read a hardcover book that's a romance, it just feels a little awkward because it's kind of just like, it doesn't fit the mood. Because I feel like how do I put this way? When you read a fantasy book, you think of hardcover books. Do you ever think of a fantasy book in paperback? No. I mean, I have a few fantasy books in paperback, but I only have my favorite fantasy books in paperback, or it's just because that's all I was available. For example, Fourth Wing, I have that in paperback. That was only because when I went to get it, it was when Onyx Storm had just released, and so all of the hardcovers of Fourth Wing were literally like sold out. But for Onyx Storm and Iron Flame, I have the hardbacks, which like Onyx Storm, I mean, Onyx Storm and Fourth Wing, no, Onyx Storm and Iron Flame, kind of like you don't really have a choice because they were published in hardcover. So that's what I'm really into it. So the first example that I'm going to use here is Rebecca Yaros's book. I don't know who her publisher is, and also this is like not to jab at Rebecca Yaros. Like literally, it's not up to her. It's up to the publishing companies. But my first example here that it's Rebecca Yaros. So Fourth Wing was out for a few years before the paperback first came out. Mind you, that means the hardback was out in public for years before the paperback came out. Now I know good and well it takes a much longer and much more difficult time to print out the hardcovers than it does the paperbacks. So why did it take about a year for the paperbacks to come out? And then Iron Flame, they announced the paperbacks when Onyx Storm had just gotten released. Iron Flame has been out for about 2 to 3 years, y'all. Just keep that in mind. It's been out for 2 to 3 years, so why is it just now getting its paperback? And the paperback's not even out yet. The paperback's for pre-order. So what I want to talk about today is when you're publishing a book, make sure that you have variety, which we actually talked about this in the last episode. We talked about difference like the diversity and diversity in book formats. we talked about large print, audiobooks, and paperbacks and hardbacks. And when you're publishing a book, you want to make sure that it's accessible to all because not a lot of people like to use paperbacks and not a lot of people like to use hardcovers. So when you're publishing, you're really just holding people back. Because, in my opinion, especially for me, I'm much more of a paperback person. I'm not big on hardcovers. I own hardcovers, obviously, but for most books, I will wait until the paperback is out to buy it. For example, Funny Story by Emily Henry was one of my most anticipated reads since it came out last year. But since it was only available in hardcover, I did not purchase it. I specifically waited until the paperback came out to purchase that book. Because Emily Henry, oh, why did I say her name like that? Emily Henry, we also have her on the screen here. We can see that she just released a book. I have not seen anybody with the paperback of that book. I've only seen people with the hardcovers. When a new book releases, it's always the hardcover that comes out first. And the question we need to ask ourselves is why? I mean, there's not a lot of accessibility, and some people just don't find hardcovers comfortable. Like me, I don't find them comfortable because I feel like they're 10 times heavier. Let's start there. And they're 10 times pricier than a paperback would be. And the only time you could ever see like somebody with a paperback is if they paid $40 for it. I don't know what book it was. I think maybe it was Great Big Beautiful Life. And the paperback was, I believe, $16 or like it was $26 and the hardback is $20. And it was actually on discount. The paperback was on discount. I looked at the actual price of the paperback and it was 40 something dollars, y'all. Why is the paperback $40 and the hardcover is $20? Because we all know it takes much more materials to produce the hardcovers than it does to produce paperbacks, which is why usually if both are available, that's why one is much more pricier than the other. I've seen options where it's like, oh yeah, do you want the hardcover of this book? It's like $5 more, than the other version. Like take Powerless for example. I literally purchased that Powerless paperback from the UK, and as soon as it got here, like they released it in the US for paperbacks. But basically, Powerless, I believe, is $9 in paperback on Amazon, and then on Amazon, if you get Powerless in a hardcover, it is $12, $15. It's just a high. It's like a upcharge because it takes a lot of more materials to produce. Because you're literally, it's like I don't know what it is. I believe it's like cardboard, right? It's like cardboard, and then it's like with all this extra structure. With a paperback, it's just like a literal. It's like a cover. A cover and then hardcover it's like cardboard and then it's like all this other stuff on top of it to make it firm like it is and not bend like cardboard, like to make it 10 times firmer. So why is it that we don't see paperbacks the second they come out? So the third example, because we already used Emily Henry. So the third example is Alex Astor, which is obviously here on the screen. Alex Astor, her first two books, I know are in hardcover because I've seen people with the hardcovers, and then I got them. I'm late to the party, so I got them in um paperbacks. But when Skyshade came out, I ordered Skyshade a little bit after it came out, and the only option available to me was hardcover. It said hardcover, audiobook, and Kindle when I get it off of Amazon. And I was just like, well, like, this is crazy. So I think it also really annoys me when it's like you get one or two books in the series and paperback, and then the next book is in hardcover. You don't even have the option. Like with Emily Henry, at least there was an option to get a paperback. Even if it was 10 times pricier than the hardcover, Skyshade had no option. It has no option to get a paperback. There is no option. And I don't know, because I know sometimes with the UK, they get both hardcover and paperback before the US does, which I actually just kind of like find really crazy. Because a lot of the authors that are doing paperback and hardcover in the UK or in other countries and other states and stuff like that are the people that are stationed in the US. So why is it that, you know, like also, like I want to keep in mind, I want you to keep in mind, look, this is not slandering the UK. I'm like I said before, I'm talking about the publishers. So how come is it that people that are outside of the country, like for like, let's take Canada for example, and we have let's say we have a Canadian author and they live in Canada, right? And Canada only has options for the hardcover of a book. But then let's say you look at the US and you see everybody in the US has the paperback and the hardcover. Does that seem fair? Or let's say like come on, because I feel like that's crazy because UK actually had the paperbacks of Powerless 2 years before we had it. We just got the paperbacks this month. This month, they just came out this month, y'all, for the paperbacks in the US for Powerless. They just came out this month. I had to order mine from a UK site called Waterstones to get my hands on a paperback. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? Lauren Roberts lives in the US. So how did the UK get what we wanted before we did? And then there's also UK authors, which I've seen, who have published books, and the UK only has accessibility to the hardcovers, but we have accessibility to the paperbacks and the hardbacks. It just doesn't make sense. The math isn't mathing. So you can't cater to your own area before you cater to others. Like, obviously, we want the other people to have the things we have, obviously, if not more. But I just feel like it's crazy how, you can cater to them, but you cannot cater to us in a timely manner. Like, okay, I want to do an example. This has nothing to do with books. Let's say our mother, right, buys clothes for her child's friend, and a month later buys clothes for her own child. And let's say this child has been needing new clothes for years. No, not years, for weeks. And her friend has a boatload of clothes that she can wear. And her mother knows this or something like that. And she just waits and waits and waits and then gets her child clothes. Like 5 weeks after she's purchased, her best friend clothes. Which, by the way, why are we? I'm sorry, like, this is like a really weird example because, like, why is the mom buying friend clothes for the daughter's friend? It doesn't matter. It's just an example. It's just like to kind of give you guys a visual of what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying, like, it's not bad to give them what we want. And I'm just saying, like, you wait years on top of years on top of years to give us this. I just think it's crazy. Now, I know this is kind of steering the topic, but I didn't want to like mention Spotify real quick because Spotify, I love Spotify. Spotify, I love you, but why do we have only 10 hours to listen to a 24-hour? 90% of the audiobooks on Spotify are over 20 hours, and they only give us like what, 10, 12 hours a month as premium members. I feel like with this, I feel like this can also kind of correlate because Spotify also publishes books, I believe. Spotify also publishes books. So, how come what should be done is the people that don't have premium should get 10 to 12 hours, but people with premium should get unlimited hours because we're paying monthly. We're paying monthly. So why can we not get that? Like, I feel like everybody has been saying this and Spotify just won't listen. Y'all talking about Amazon not listening to your needs and boycotting Amazon for their books. Honey, let's check Spotify real quick because low key, low key. I just feel like, wow. Well, I don't know. Just kind of like something to think about real quick. How? So yeah, I didn't want to do another example. Let's see. Oh, let's see. I have an author here, but I feel like I use a better one because I've already used Alex Asher. I was gonna say like her new book just came out in hardcover, which was her Summer in the City book. We already used her as an example. We can use Holly Jackson as an example. I don't see this often with her books though. I feel like it's just something new. Because did she switch publishers? I believe she switched publishers. So yeah, she switched publishers. So I feel like it's like kind of really hard to compare, but we also have the ability to because the Rare Prince of Rachel Price. That book came out and it was only available in hardcover for months and months and months. And I don't hold on, we're gonna look it up together, guys. We're gonna look it up together. Okay, let's see. Amazon, and then we're gonna look up. I'm not typing all that. I just type up Polly Jackson, it comes up. Holly Jackson and the Rare Prince of Rachel Price, and the first option I have is hardcover. Now it's on sale for 50% off right now. I believe I don't know if it's because of Prime or not, but it's on sale for $20, $12. But the original price is $20.99, which is $21. So paperback. Paperback is available now. It's 14 bucks. It says I purchased the audiobook. When did I do that? November 4th, 2025. The paperback's not even out yet. The paperback comes out November 4th, 2025. When was this book published? Because I believe it was like a year or two ago. This book was published in April 2024, and the paperback still is not out. It's 2025, y'all. It's May. This was over a year ago when this book came out, and the paperback doesn't come out until November. November. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? So I feel like I can't use her as like a big example because I feel like before her books, like Good Girls Got Murdered and stuff like that, was coming out and like paperbacks first and everything like that. But now that she switched to a new publisher, like even with Not Quite Dead Yet, it says that the book itself, the hardcover is $28. It's on sale right now, so it's $19.60. And I there's a paperback option available right now. So the paperback option is not going to be released until wait, when's this book come out? Okay, so the hardcover and paperback will be released on the same day, July 22nd, 2025. Thank goodness. But the oh wait. Oh, okay. I mean, it doesn't justify the price. The paperback is $30, and I had to look closely, and it says large print, which I was at first gonna be like, oh, okay, but then I just was like, wait, why is a large print $30? Why is a large print $30? Just and when is the normal print coming out for paperback? Like, come on now. First of all, this goes back to what I did said in the last episode. We need more diversity in the books with large prints. I spoke about large prints and how a lot of publishers and companies don't do large print, and I'm glad Random House is doing large print. But for $30, why must one pay such an expensive price to be able to read? I got the Summer of Broken Rules for $5. I got Summer of Broken Rules for $5, and guess what? They had so many sales. And now rarely I see like books that are like expensive get too many sales. I've seen in like bookstores the books that are like on the cheaper side are usually they have like not a lot of copies left. But then the most expensive books that are like probably most popular are always filled. Like nobody even glanced at them, especially the hardcovers, because everybody know what they get into when they pick up a hardcover. They're just like, no, like, Barnes& Noble, let's take Barnes& Noble for example. They have the tables and everything. I remember once when Funny Story first came out, they had a table that was like book talk, romance stuff, and there was a whole bunch of paperbacks around it, and then Funny Story and another book, I forgot what it was. It was not Emily Henry though. I think it was like what was it? I don't remember. It was like two hardcovers. All the other books had at least sold one book on that table, and you know what the highest stack was? The funny story stack and the other hardcover stack. Because they're hardcovers, people already know they're like gonna be 10 times pricier, especially if it's Barnes and Nobles. Honey, I go there for the experience. Not the experience alone, I still buy stuff, but I go there for the experience mainly. Like if I see a book that's 10 like if I see a book that's $10 more than what I could get on Amazon, Red Queen, for example. Take Red Queen for example. I went to go get Red Queen. It said it was like $15, $17. I was originally gonna get Red Queen, the paperback on its own, which was gonna be $9. But I got the pack which had all the books, and I got it for $30. $30. Do you hear that? Do you hear how much I paid for the pack? And if I bought each and every single book individually alone at Barnes and Noble, I would have spent over $60 at most. Another example. Wait, we're not even talking about Barnes and Noble today. We're not talking about Barnes and Noble today. We're talking about book formats. I'm sorry. So that's one thing I wanted to address. Another thing is, why do publishing companies promote only the same authors over and over again? I saw a video of somebody talking about this. They were just like, you know, publishing companies, they don't pick up black authors or authors of color and stuff like that. I feel like that's not the case. That's not the case because I've seen publishing companies, you know, what's it called? Pick up authors that are of color or from different races or ethnicities and stuff like that. I feel like the problem is they just keep promoting the same books over and over again. Like Emily Henry's book promoted over and over again, over and over again, over and over again. Like whenever she has a book release, it's just promoted over and over and over again. But then like the small authors, they post like one or two posts like, hey, this book's coming out, and then like, hey, another reminder this book's coming out, and that's it. And then all the other authors let's like all the other authors. I don't say let's make up author. Let's make up an author. Let's say her name is Jackie Shade. Okay, Jackie Shade, and let's say she's made 1,000 sales in a week, and so the publishing company she's in, she releases another book a week after her book just came out, and they're promoting, and a smaller author. Let's call her. We're gonna call. I'm gonna say, let's just take a book name, Caraval. Let's call the smaller author Caraval, right? and Carl releases a book, and the publishing company promotes it once. That's kind of like what it is. That's kind of like what the dynamic is. But I feel like at the same time, it's also business. You promote what works because you know it's going to sell, you know it's going to make you money. So on one hand, I kind of get where they're coming from with the not promoting the small authors and their publishing company because they know they're not going to make a whole bunch of money. But at the same time, they're not making a whole bunch of money because you're not promoting them enough. I mean, if I feel like if publishing companies promoted their clients better and actually did things for people to interact and posted the synopses and posted tour dates and set tour dates up for them, they would have best-selling authors back to back to back to back to back. They wouldn't even have to worry about small authors in their case. You wanna know why? Because you're promoting them equally. I feel like with Emily Henry, no, not even no, sorry. Back to sorry. Uh, Her name slipped. So I was thinking about Great Big Beautiful Life. But um with Jackie Shade, Jackie Shade, they promoted her thing for a week straight, and then another week her book came out again. Another book came out again. So another week straight of promoting. And then Carval, she's just releasing books back to back to back, and she's not getting any sales. And so she's had to take it on her own and start promoting her own book, which that's how they get sales. And then they want to still take the credit for it. I feel like, publishing companies, I just feel like I want to address those two things, which is like the paperbacks and hardback conflict, and then the publishing companies not promoting their small authors. Because I feel like everybody's like, they're mainly getting mad at the authors too. They're like, authors, like, oh my goodness, I keep seeing on my For You page, and like, that's like, not their fault. They have people who are reading the books, there have people who are hyping up the books, there are people who are talking about the books, whether it's good promotion or bad promotion, it's PR, no matter. Bless me, sorry, I just sneezed. And they also have you know, people they have the publishing companies promoting them. But then like you guys don't even read Carabal's books, like Carabal has posted so many good, thriller books. Carabal has written so many good thriller books and good romance books and good literary fiction books, and you guys don't read them. And it's kind of just like, it's mostly the publishing company's fault. They don't put them in bookstores, they keep them online strictly, they don't promote them often. They, like they put human people on the covers when they know good and well we don't want the human people on covers. It's like they set them up for failure and then get surprised when they don't sell. And I feel like they're messing them up. They're messing up the small authors, and I feel like that's just like that's why I took the self-publishing route because I was not trying to have anybody being in control of my book or control of how it's going to be printed because I want to do both paperback and hardcover come out at the same time and all that other stuff. And same thing with like large print coming out all at the same time because I feel like it's much more inclusive. And so I just feel like it's kind of like common sense, but it's also not. So I just want to say this in case like it could bring this to anybody's attention, because I feel like we could bring this to attention if people would just like listen to what I'm saying and think about it. Think about it, y'all. That's all today for today's Chaotic Book Lovers podcast episode. I know it was not as long as we usually do make them. I apologize. But I also don't. So yeah. Bye loves. I'll see you on the next episode or my next video because I do have some stuff coming out soon.